What's happening, my beautiful people? My name is Mike LaBelle. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we have ranking all of the summer stars in order. This promo, I wouldn't say came out of nowhere. We were expecting some summer heat, but it is pretty special, pretty spectacular, high rated, very usable. Almost all of them will impact your team, and the price points coming in at a good level. Quality. I need you to comment, coppin', droppin'. I'm gonna do this video with Yvonne as per usual a little bit later this week. We need those comments. I'm gonna throw them on screen to help my arguments. Which players lived up to the hype? Which ones dropped the ball or didn't kick the ball, didn't convert with the ball, didn't hit the corner with the ball? Have I ruined that? Perhaps. If you're new, we upload daily. Like it, subscribe it. YouTube appreciates that. What do you think of the drip? I just got this today. It's created by a company or a brand, Art of Football. Shout out to them. If you want to check them out on IG, they make a lot of different streetwear or unique products that of course correlate and transcend or have innovations or levels of inspiration via football, as you would expect. Criteria: summer stars, players, performance-based, and I'm just reminding you that this is subjective. My opinion, bold, biased completely. I don't just rank the players based on the statistics. It's based on my experience playing with, playing against, and then I look at social media. I take a deeper dive. We discuss, we talk about it. I could also say the top 15 out of these 17 get busy. Plain, simple, direct, decisive, to the point, pencil sharpener. Do you remember when you had to do that in school? Someone, please, in the comment section, remember having to ask permission to go to a pencil sharpener and rev that bad boy up. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I might be too old for you, or you might be too young for that reference. The kids will never know today. You got mechanical pencils. Bravo. I don't really even co-sign heavy with these lists when we're looking at goalkeepers that are meta. What's the opposite of a bravo? Maybe a boo, a whistle, a taunt. We could belittle, reprehend, put you down, put you in your place. I'm not excited if that wasn't clear. Cut wasn't obvious. If you don't have your contacts in, or in my case, I got LASIK. It's been about 1.5 years, maybe even 2 years. They still work proper. Romero doesn't really come with the links or the stats. What differentiates him from other attacking players or wingers? What am I missing? Looks normal, ordinary, just with a better card design. I'm not paying for that. I can do better than just the cosmetic. Christensen, as stated, this is where we're gonna start to see that swing vote. Everyone from this point forward, I support. Not necessarily gonna speak negatively about them. It's just a matter of putting them in order. Some of you will love this man, others will disregard. But for 70K Premier League center back, it is good value, even though this is not a value countdown. But when you get into the physical, you get into the defensive numbers, I can use my eyes. It's an observation, not too shabby. But the 70 agility and 70 balance, I'm also not in love. He's not necessarily getting the super stamp of approval, but if you want to incorporate him, by all means, he's there. Spinazzola, first off, only sending blessings on your road to recovery. But on a FIFA note, I see him used in 2 different ways. Number 1 being one of those fullbacks that plays as a center back, or you got to take into consideration he's going to have tendency, because he's a right-footed player playing on the left side of the pitch, even with a 4-star weak foot, would definitely makes him capable of using his left foot. But in FIFA, they have a dominant foot for a reason, and they try to use that or incorporate it or naturally cater to that foot in the majority of situations and scenarios. 83 strength also gives you a bit of a if you're talking about using him as a center back, but he is 6'1". He needs to eat more during the Italian dinners. Patrick, wow, no range on the long shot. I'm sure many of you saw the Euros. Nothing but positivity to gravitate or attach through Patty Shtick. Patty Schick. Doesn't have any other previous upgrades, so you're taking a bit of a gamble. The price point matches. And one of the downfalls, maybe the only downfall, is he doesn't really fall into or fall down those stairs, which doesn't make sense for what I'm about to say. The meta sizing for attacking players. Normally you want someone 5'6", maybe to 5'10", lean body type. Maybe you could push that to 5'11". There's always exceptions to the rule, but if we're being general here, he's outside of the normal range at 6'1". What's your shtick? Laporte now made the national exchange, swapped over. Spaniard. Similar issue to Christensen, just a better player or a better foot item if we're talking FIFA, but still has not the highest of agility or balance. So that's something to take into consideration. I brought up price point a lot just because I wanted to discuss it. Great value, movement, but it did not impact where I place the players that are going to be mentioned before and after, previous and in the future on my list. Some of you will think I've misplaced this man, like some keys when you're in a rush to leave your apartment. Richarlison, and hear me out, I'm an Everton supporter, but that body type is gonna be a concern. He's built with that extra thickness, especially if you're looking for free flow, fluidity, turning. This is gonna be a Range Rover in the box, and you might not have that four-wheel drive. Or perhaps you do have that, but you still don't make some of those sharp turns. Is this an improvement? No doubt from his previous foot items, but are you looking at a Messi-esque or a Mertens or an Insigne or a Neymar type of player? Absolutely not. And even with the high dribbling, it's misleading. And I don't love his price point, which we'll save for a future video. My one exception, and he would go up my list, is if you preferred him as a center mid, if that's his mainstream role, because his defensive numbers are decent. And then having a bigger body type is no longer a concern or a skepticism in the same manner, and his stock would just maneuver. Phillips, Locatelli, I normally wouldn't do this, but I'm kind of just linking them together. Let me show you why. Player comparison, they're barely even separated. Total stats, separated by 5. Maybe even more important is the allocation is nearly identical. So it just comes down to personal preference, your choice on who you need, what do you really prefer in terms of when you get them into a game. You could talk a little bit about the balance. That's one of the first areas that you're going to see a real separation. But overall, these two guys nearly identical in many regards. We could argue work rates. We could argue the sizing of the players. We can go through these certain key attributes or characteristics or statistics, but I think we're all going to flip-flop. Maybe not. Maybe I should put a poll in the comments. You can let me know, which of the two are you choosing? Isak, did you enjoy his previous version? Oh, you did. Perfect. Welcome to 2.0. Technically, this is his 5th iteration, so maybe it's a 5.0 edition, and he's unique, unorthodox, impressive. He doesn't need to stand up to stand out. You would hear his voice in a overcrowded, oversaturated, loud, blasting music club atmosphere. That's the point that I'm trying to make, trying to push that agenda. I'll send you a calendar invite. Don't challenge me. Might be a good portion of the video to mention turning on notifications. New videos come out daily. Dumfries or Dumfries, if you prefer him as a chef, because he is cooking. And this is a Terminator. Very special foot item. Barely human. And he's become a masterpiece. Maybe the future of defenders. More versatile than expected. He is the most center back shaped fullback we have in FIFA 21. But this past weekend league, I played him as a fullback, and I was pleasantly surprised. Not just defensively, but his lateral, his side-to-side movement. He was not an offensive liability. He even looked okay with some of the skill moves. I couldn't believe it. He's authentic, he's massive, and he's going to be able to play both sides of the pitch. Shaqiri, not Shakira, getting a 5-star review, both Uber and Lyft, or whatever application uses stars. If you'd like to take the city bike, that works as well. Breathtaking moments were created and replicated time and time again. He has a certain smoothness to the operation, and it was almost automated like a Tesla. Kimmich, what do I critique? Offensively, defensively? I'm not really sure. At this point, with the upgrade on the skills as well, he has better stats than some of your favorite attackers. He is a better finisher on paper than the likes of El Shaarawy. Just for example, when you're going through the shot power and the curve and the finishing and the placement, and then defensively, you know what type of monster, not only that he can be, but that he already is. Pitbull through and through, will bite your family members without even sending out some sort of notification or a request. Does it for fun. Beware of Kimmich. That should be in the midfield somewhere on a sign. Put it on a shirt. Promote it. Stand by it. The top 5 is pretty absurd. You might flip-flop Kimmich with the likes of Modric. Brings me to number 4. This is the Ballon d'Or version. He's so responsive. Just the ease of the operation. You could call him a doctor. He's a surgeon on the virtual pitch. His touches are so clean and precise. In a different life, he might be a car washer, which is really a downgrade if I started him off as a doctor in hindsight with that analogy, or even compared to being a pro football player. player. But I preferred Modric. I just liked his movement so much. It brought back a lot of good memories, but I am completely okay with you interchanging or maneuvering a few of the midfielders, especially because there's similarities, and then it comes down to what are you looking for. Kevin De Bruyne. I'm continuing that theme. If you weren't on board all the way, or you didn't get your fix with the team of the season or the team of the year, this will change your mind. An opinion shifter. Have you ever seen the show Change of Heart? It is also an old school show. I don't know if it still airs. But now, KDB has that upgraded pace. He's bursting through the midfield. And this is what a lot of folks, I think, had as an expectation or a want, a desire. This was the relationship they wanted to have with KDB, and it just wasn't working in comparison to other players in those price points or with those ratings. Now it has shifted. Welcome him into your starting 11. Say thank you. Salute him. Hug it out. Kiss on the cheek. Whatever you got to do. Keep them happy. Similar to before, I'm going to run number 1 and number 2 together. I've got Cristiano Ronaldo and then Messi. And I thought it'd be nice if we took a deeper dive into the breakdown of what you're actually paying for. What are you investing between these two players in comparison to their other iterations? We're going to get started with Messi, which might even be a bigger upgrade comparatively to Ronaldo if we're looking at previous versions and what's kind of shifted. So the big elephant in the room, that pace. And it's a real upgrade. Sprint speed now at a 93, acceleration at a 99. None of the previous Messi versions have been in the 90s for that sprint speed. So that's really the big shift, or it's noticeable. And then when you scroll down, what else are you paying for? It's gonna be the stamina is significantly higher and the strength went up. This Messi is shoving people around, physical by nature. There's no doubt about it. There's no denying it, but he also has this favorable body type where his turning is unbelievable. His natural evasiveness, it's just different. If you played with Messi this year, then you can relate. You understand. Cristiano Ronaldo. We have the trifecta. Now, of course, at a 99 overall. Easy to argue the best player in the game. I just don't know if it's going to be a drastic change from some of the previous versions. You can see all the stats go up a little bit, all in the right places. We can do a full review, as we will, but I just want to stress that. The pace, there's not going to be a shift. The shooting, I'm going to ditto that. Nothing changes. Maybe you can argue there's a little bit in the passing because everything slightly went up. It was slightly elevated. The same could be said about the dribbling. I will say you did get a +5 for the balance, and that is, I don't want to say a detriment because that just seems like a stretch, but it's brought up when you're talking about Cristiano because he's on the taller end. And then physically, same scenario. Am I seeing something or feeling something different between the 94 and the 91 strength, or the 99 stamina and the 98 stamina? No! Maybe the aggression getting that push. And then you put chemistry styles, you add that into the foot equation, and it gets very debatable. But this Cristiano, best player in the game. On that note, we're wrapping up the video. Let me know what you think. Who's on the cop and drop list? We asked a lot of questions. I want your opinion in general from a promo perspective as a whole, because this kind of came out of nowhere to a certain degree. I just don't feel that any of us expected these players to be so relevant. EA will mess this up at the end of the year. They should all look like this, but that doesn't mean they will. And we've seen that happen via many promos where we cater towards certain upgrades because they actually improve the team and they actually match up for the time period, and then other ones we start asking, well, why did you do this? Changes nothing, upgrades nothing, impacts nothing. But I have a lot more content coming out ASAP.